Hi guys, I wasn't in Amsterdam on Saturday because, well, I had a headache and I couldn't travel by train. Because of that, I was taking it easy. And I had contact with somebody that was there, and I wouldn't have wanted to go actually because it was outside the old stock exchange where there's no stock exchange anymore, and they are now near the banks at the outskirts of Amsterdam, or inside them actually, the trading floors. So I would have felt a little bit foolish, and there were people clapping in unison and all that stuff. It's not about fun. It's about a serious point that needs to be made, and needs to be made around the globe. And the funny thing is that ultimately it comes down to the same thing for everybody, because here in Holland we want to have a more egalitarian remuneration. So no rich people, no, let's say ridiculously rich people uh, making multi-billion dollars. We want to have a fair life for the whole of society. That's because we are experiencing it as well for a large part. I personally can of course vouch for that because I lost my job some time ago, and now I have a job, but uh, and you get taken care of because this is a social system. That's like we have mandatory medical care, which is not expensive, and all that stuff. It gets invaded by the financial system, by the insurers mainly, and it gets Americanized, but it's not there yet by a long shot, really not. It's the same thing. It's all the same thing everywhere. It's not so much about money, in my opinion, which I think is a sad thing because many people talk about the money. It's not about that at all. It's about the control that the money allows over the resources, and the money system allows over the resources, and then the way those resources are managed. Because money, basically, you have money only if you want to trade. If you want to share, then you don't need money. You can simply share it. But if you want to trade, if you want to compare prices, so you want to make a decision with who you want to trade with, then suddenly you need money. You need to express the value of your goods in a certain type of unit, and you use money. Can be gold, can be fiat currency, doesn't really matter. Fiat currency gets value once you have to trade. If you don't, so if you put it in an account, it loses its value. But nobody really understands that in general. But what has happened is, of course, that this whole idea of trading with money has led to an economical model that maximizes, of course, the role of intermediaries. So the whole economy is made so that you separate tasks. You have to pay for everything. So then when you are an intermediary in that system, you can make money. And because of the productivity of oil and the control of the banks over the market, there is this collusion between carbon and the credit system, where the credit basically means the distribution of carbon. And that is a resource. Carbon is a resource we have. That's something that everybody in the world basically should consider to have. It's managed by the oil companies. It's owned by the oil companies more or less, but of course it's not their resource ultimately. And it could help everybody, but it doesn't if it's run the way it's run right now. Right now, credit is given to big industries, to big manufacturers, to wasteful use of these energy resources in a way that you basically can never recover it. It's gone. You burn it. It's gone. And those people that do that, I communicate with them more or less through some discussion forums, because I always try to teach oil people that they're basically running our planet into the ground and our humanity into extinction. They always assume that I am somebody that wants to cut off all the oil and then let everybody die. It's for some reason. And of course I never say that, but they think that. They think we have overpopulation, we need to get rid of a lot of people. I get quite a few of these people. They say, well, we just have too much people and some have to die, so they just starve. and what you get is industries that basically huddle up behind fences with large, let's say, omnipotent identification systems and protection, just like I saw in Nigeria, just like I saw in other countries, in Ghana, and You know, wherever you go in the bush, where you have like completely destitute people next to big industry, you have security issues because there's stuff to get. And these people, they secure everything and they monitor everything, and nobody steals anything. And let's say, but you know, that's the type of planet that these people seem to be envisioning. A planet where you have stuff going on in big industries, which is all oil based and gas based and coal based, and the rest of the world is basically like it's like behind the fence. And it's just an approach to managing the resources. It's an approach to managing the resources where you use them to make big stuff and you get a margin. And you make luxury stuff. You sit in your hotel in Qatar or in Dubai and you have a good life. And you say fuck everybody else. And in Holland, for instance, one of these countries where we have an experience where we kind of recognize each other's value, and we say, well, we're really not really like that. We don't really think that's sympathetic. You know, sympathetic is just like a notion, I think, that these people, well, they will reserve it for their own, but not for you, apparently. Very generalistic, I have to apologize for that. But it's about a resource, it's about management of resources. Because the resources that we have right now in the US and in Europe could be used much more wisely. Because we, of course, in Europe, are using much gas and concrete and iron and steel and labor to build useless roads for more cars. But we could also use them to build cheaper houses. We could use them to build more energy efficient houses. We could use them to build all kinds of energy installations, renewable energy installations, and those renewable energy installations would immediately make it easier to do all kinds of other stuff, like making roads safe because you have solar panel lighting, like recycling because you have enough energy to recycle until you drop. You know, there's no cost to recycling if you do it. If you have a recycling plant and it has solar panels on the roof and it has all these machines churning, and so they can be churning until you know, doomsday. It doesn't cost much because the solar panels power it. You get some wear and tear, but that also means that the resources that you are buying externally suddenly become available much closer to home. Your waste dump, your garbage dump becomes a mine where you can mine plastic that you can recycle. You can turn it into oil if you really have to, you know, if you really want to burn something. But there's lots of other steel, iron, other chemicals. You can basically distill them out with the renewable energy, and then, you know, all this stuff can be much more valuable, and all becomes available. And that, you know, but you have to start to do that. And there's, of course, you know, there I can see that there's large companies turning towards that route, that they say, well, you know, we can be independently productive and have much cheaper products if we make them using renewables. You know, if I make ice cream and I cool my whole ice cream manufacturing process with solar thermal panels that I only have to buy once and then pay off in 5 years, then my ice cream gets way cheaper because that cooling is hugely expensive. The same goes for server rooms, IT. If I make an IT let's say internet hub, and I do it smart, and I get cool servers, and I get my whole cooling thing. I reuse that for warm water for a neighborhood, so they don't have to burn gas, so they save money and they buy actually the heat for me. You know, I become more wealthy and prosperous because I can usually sell my product for a price in a market that is usually, you know, used for people that produce using fossil fuels. Something well, just this may be a little bit a long video already, but it is not about money, it's about resources. And it's not about debt as well. And Clinton said it on the Letterman show just a few days ago, where he said oil is 50% of the US trade deficit. And he can know because he basically started a huge deficit in the balance of trade with the help of Larry Summers. Maybe he didn't do it consciously, but he allowed that to start. And I made a video about it called the Summers curve, where you can see that, you know, before Clinton you used to have, US had paper from foreign countries like Deutschmark and stuff like that, and foreign countries would have about equal amount of those type of paper. That's because they were all producing and trading. Everybody was producing and trading to each other, and they were basically sharing the burden of labor, you could say. And they were all using fossil fuels, and they were all using them in equal amounts, more or less. In let's say where there was industry, the same thing was going on. Summers and this other guy whose name I keep forgetting, they basically decided that, hey, we can sell that US Treasury paper, why not sell some more than we actually buy ourselves? And that started a huge increase in the balance of those expenditures, and that basically made the US very prosperous for a long time. And you know, the rest is history. But with that money that the US created by selling their paper, so treasury bonds and all that stuff to China and those kind of things, they bought oil, which is confusing if you have listened to my other videos if I say that. And they burned it. And burned oil is gone. It's not there anymore. It's in the atmosphere. Our climate problem is burned oil. It is the trade deficit that the world has around the world. Every country that has a financial deficit has that for 50% or something like that, because they have been burning fossil fuels. And you cannot, if you want to burn it, you cannot sell it anymore, so you cannot earn money, you cannot repay that debt. It's final. And it's above us. It's in the sky, the trade deficit and the financial deficits. It's quite poetic if you think about it, and I could express it better, and I think I did it some time ago in another video. But you know, if you want to see your government debt, you have to look up to the sky. It's there. And but the positive side to that is that you cannot repay it. You will never repay it. Nobody can help you repay it. So you can forget about it. You should forget about it. It's not interesting. Germany takes that position towards Greece. Very simple. And I think I completely agree. It's completely in line with what they've been saying. Is they say, well, we have to forgive Greece 50% of its debt. It's not that it's the magical number 50, but it's that you can forget about it. They burned it. They bought fuel with it. They burned it. That's what they did. And so, you know, the whole debt issue, and also bank debt, and all the credit that banks extended to consumers that bought gasoline with it, it's only a control system. It is first of all the fact that you were giving that credit was a gift, so they took the risk to give it to you, but they never expected you to return it, because they knew that you were actually either buying gasoline with it, or you're buying gas with it, or you buy food with it, which turns into a farmer buying fertilizer, gas with it, or a product like a car, which means that the steel mill burns coal, that the car manufacturer has robots that are electric, that it has laborers, that it pays salaries to, that goes to the barbecue to buy coal, to heat the meat, which is grown by cows, which eats the soy that's grown with fertilizer, and it ends up with gas again, everywhere. Money is energy, it was given to you. And now that debt that is remaining is an illusion that is used to control you. And I think if you refuse to be controlled by debt, then, only then, you can do something that is very important and necessary, that everybody, that's basically what the demonstrations are about, is you want to manage those resources that are left in a different way than they are done now. You cannot do that if you keep Wall Street at peace. It's just impossible, because these banks will go on with the model that they have, because they enjoy it. They are sitting on top of the oil, they are sitting on top of the coal and the gas. They can do what they want. So that's my point of view. It's about resource management, and the solution is renewables. But I said that many times before. Thanks for listening, and now I can recover again. Bye bye.